guys, how's it going? Today we're going to be working on projects mostly outside. I'd like to clean up our hellebores. There's one or two things I would like to plant. I do want to start some stock seeds today, so we'll be in the greenhouse a little bit. And I want to actually start in the studio to give you a few very happy updates on some things that we've got going on in there. But today is glorious. It's supposed to be 55 or above, but no wind. We're coming off of a really windy week, so today feels like a gift. Aaron and Paul are out working on the lawn, so I can hear the lawnmower. The kids are out roller skating, and I can hear neighbor kids out playing. It's like one of those beautiful, beautiful days after a cold winter. Okay, coming here into the studio, I thought we would start here because I want to give you an update on our herb garden from seed, and I am super impressed with these plants. I just can't even believe it. So we've got two sage plants right here that are looking so gorgeous. We've got several dill plants. I started 4 little containers like this one right here, but you can see there's multiple seedlings in here, and I do need to get those separated. But along the way, when I was giving you guys an update, we took some of the seedlings and we buried them a little bit deeper because they had created a very long stem at the bottom and they were kind of floppy. But look at the plants now that we've done that. Like, they are way more robust than the little seedlings in the smaller cans. So I'm really happy with how that's going. Our chives look amazing. Here's our little parsley plant right here. It's not even little anymore. I mean, they're just beautiful. Here's our thyme right here, our English thyme. There are 2 little plants in that container, and look at our rosemary. I think this is the one I'm the most excited about. There are a total of 1, 2, 3, 4 of our 5 seeds. I think I put 5 seeds in here. So 4 of them came up. They're at differing rates of growth at the moment, but all I was hoping for was 1. I mean, that looks like a legitimate rosemary plant. It smells so good. And then over here, we've got a couple of oregano plants right here, which we pinched the other day. There's another one right back there. And then our basil, we took and separated all of them because I had so many in containers. I think I started, how many did I start? Did I start just 2? No, it had to have been more than that. Was it 4? I don't know. Anyway, we ended up with a whole bunch more than that as individual plants. You can see that right here. Now, a couple of them I have come along and I pinched, so you can see that middle stem I pinched out. So to create more lateral branching, and really just because they were kind of flopping over, these 2 right here. But look at how gorgeous these plants are. Now, I will pinch the rest of these, which means I'll take this stem and pinch it right here and let these grow when I need this in cooking. I want to save it here until I'm ready to use it. And I do have bruschetta on the menu, so we'll be using up some of this basil. But aren't these plants gorgeous? I am just so thrilled. So I just looked up when I started these seeds, it's been 49 days. So these plants are 49 days old. I have been fertilizing them along the way. So I started fertilizing with half strength after they had formed up their first set of true leaves, which is the second set of leaves you see appear on your seedling. And I did that once a week until I didn't start fertilizing them all at the same time because they are growing at different rates. Like the rosemary was growing so slow that I wasn't fertilizing it as often as everything else. But once the plants got a little bit more size, I just started using full strength fertilizer once a week. And I think the plants are benefiting from that big time. Now at this point, what I'm gonna probably do, I'm gonna have to move those bigger dill plants out because they're starting to touch the lights. But I'm waiting till it's a tiny bit warmer. Dill and basil specifically like it pretty darn warm, so I wanna make sure it's pretty warm. The sage and some of the perennial plants like the parsley, I might need to up pot one time before we plant them out, but they're only gonna need to stay in their containers for another month maybe before we're ready to plant them out. So my whole goal with this project was to show you guys, I mean, we started all these plants for under $25. I think it was like $24, and that included a ton of seeds. So we have seed until probably the end of time for some of these varieties that we can continually start. But I just wanted to show you what the process was like to start a whole 3x6 raised bed garden's worth of herbs. And it totally can be done. I'm so excited. The only one I was unsure about was the rosemary because I've had spotty luck with germination in the past with that. So I'm very glad for our purposes for this project that it worked out. Also, a quick look at everything else in here. Currently, we've got a whole tray full of foxglove we need to up pot. They need to be up potted here pretty quick. I'll probably just work on this as I have time. We've got a whole tray of our purple bell, let's see, what is it called? Purple bell flower. It's that vine with the purple bell shaped flowers. Every single cell, there's even a seed, it's a really little. Every single cell is up, looking good. I have 0 germination on my Verbena bonariensis. 0. I'd had the packet for a really long time, so I don't know if that's my problem, but I don't know, we'll just leave it there and see what happens. Now, this is an interesting thing. I have 2 trays of Gomphrena down here. We've got Gomphrena orange and raspberry cream. All of them are up, all of them. In this tray, we have Gomphrena pink and we have Gomphrena Audrey white. Let's see, I've got like a couple plants. If you look in here, if you really study it, you can see there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, like they're taking forever. And I can see a couple of the pinks up here, and I'm thinking, did I forget to put seeds in? I don't think so. But this tray is just taking longer than this one. They're not on heat mats or anything. They get the same light, same care, all of that. But we've got a whole tray full of the Fama Deep Blue Pincushion flower. And they're just now starting to shoot up their first set of true leaves. Over here we have our Dusty Miller. Aren't those beautiful? These we can probably move out to the greenhouse at this point. And then we have our tray of Lisianthus, which honestly, par for the course. Started these real early. They take forever, but they're looking pretty good. They're looking healthy. And you can see I have some yellow sticky traps. I was having the hardest time with fungus gnats in here. And I was trying that natural, which is super expensive to buy, and it was barely doing anything. So I finally started spraying neem on the soil. You guys, it works really well. Like so far, I kind of monitor those sticky traps just to see like how quickly they fill up. And before I could put a sticky trap in the evening, by the next day when I checked on them, they would look black from fungus gnats. It was that bad. And now, I mean, they're kind of spotty and I'll see one here or there flying around, but I've just been monitoring it. But let me show you how I spray it. So like I just come in here and I don't spray it directly on the plant. I've just been spraying, I mean, it gets a little overspray, but I've just been spraying it right on the soil, just like that. And that's been doing the job. And you can see like there's what, 8 fungus gnats on there, but that trap has been in here for about a week. Wish I would have thought to do that before. My goodness. What are you doing in here, Douglas? Oh, one last thing in the studio before we head out. Look at the African violets right now. Look at how gorgeous they all are. And I haven't repotted them because they're so happy in here. They're all in there. Well, except for this one. This one's in a clay container, but all the rest of them are in their nursery containers still. I just haven't found African violet pots that I really, really love. And I, traditionally I've planted them in terracotta and they do fine, but you have to keep watering them a lot because of the oxygen exchange. I think that they just like to be in more enclosed quarters for their roots. Okay, so before we head out into the flower beds, I would like to start our stock seed, which I have right here. It's the Quartet Rainbow variety. We gathered these seeds from our own plants out in the cut flower garden. It was the only variety of stock I grew last year so that I could, specifically so I could gather seed. So we're gonna open up these pods and get at least enough seed to start a tray, one tray of 50 probably. So I just use my fingernail to kind of open this thing up. There's a whole bunch of seeds. I don't know, this camera's the worst, but you can see the little, kind of orangish looking seeds. And it's got 2 sides to it too. I've probably got enough seed already out of the pods down at the bottom of this thing to get a tray planted. So they just line up like that inside the pod. See all those seeds right there? That's probably more than enough. There's more around in there too. So we're gonna take those into the greenhouse and get that project done first before we load up the gator and go outside and get some stuff done. And look at our onions. I brought these out this week. Aren't they looking awesome? Oh, and our radishes. Little cherry bells. Look how sweet that is. You want a radish?
I've never been a fan of radishes.
Put some dirt on it. It'll taste extra good.
Will it?
Yes. You could pop, yeah. When you pick them this young, they're typically a lot more mild.
Still not a fan of radish.
Aw, neither am I. I like to grow them because they're quick to grow and they're really cute. Okay, I've got everything I need, except for the fans blowing right on me. Hang on. There we go. We're gonna sow these seeds in our paper pots right here, and they've got 50 cells. So I'm gonna clip these onto the tray, then I've already got some soil. This is a mix of regular potting soil and seed starting mix, so I'm just gonna go with it. You only have to leave these clips in until there's soil in these pots. And then you can pop them out. There we go. And there's still quite a lot of moisture in this soil too, which kind of eliminates a step for me as well. Usually I pre-moisten my seed starting mix. It's very, very helpful to do it that way. Helps the seeds settle better, helps you keep them more moist for longer. Okay, let's get this all filled up. Okay, lightly tamp the soil down. Perfect. With my extra soil, I keep it in a tiny tray here, but I kind of pile it up toward the back and then put an empty soil bag over it, because you know our cats like to hang out in here and I don't want them thinking that's a good opportunity for a litter box. Okay, the clips can come out now. I'm going to put my ID tag in first thing, even though we're only starting one variety of seeds today. And then I'm going to make a slight depression with my fingers in each one of the cells. These seeds are supposed to go about 1/4 of an inch deep, so it doesn't need to be too much. Then I'm just going to take our seeds and I'm going to try my best to just get a couple of seeds per cell. Oh, that hole's way too deep. Okay, all the seeds are in, so we're just going to put a little bit of soil over the top. Now we'll just use our mister to water them in, settle those seeds into place, and we'll grab a humidity dome and then we'll be done. Super simple. And here they will sit right next to our Rudbeckia, which is coming up beautifully, as is all of our feverfew and all of our snapdragons. Oh my goodness, got a little heavy-handed with the seeds there. And there's our tray of dahlias right there. Agastache, artichokes, columbine. So much fun in here right now. All right, so now we're gonna head out into the garden. I'm gonna go grab all the tools we need and the plants, and we'll get started. P.S. What is this? We already have a fig forming up, and there are 2 right here. There are 2 right here. There are figs forming up on almost all of these stems. Oh my gosh. I did not notice that until just right now when I was walking out the door. How exciting. It's a Chicago hardy fig. Oh, whoa. Okay, now let's head out. All right, got it figured out where I wanted these. These are the Sgt. Pepper Dogwood. They're a brand new variety out this year, and we got our hands on them early last year, and I planted one by the Dream Stream. And then these 3 I wanted out somewhere in this vicinity. I knew I wanted them out here. I just wasn't sure exactly where or like the placement of them, but I don't have much for red stems in this immediate area. We've got a honey locust there, and then a weeping Alaskan cedar. There's a lot of evergreen interest, and there's a spruce and boxwood and arb. And you know, you can just keep going on and on, but I don't have any twig color out here of note. So I'd like to add in some red and some yellow. And the Sgt. Pepper, we're gonna have to use pictures for the most part, but the Sgt. Pepper has red stems, which are so pretty. But you guys, the foliage on this plant It's kind of a creamy sage green with cream variegation and little hints of pink. So it's going to bring a brightness to this area. They grow about 4 to 6 feet tall and 6 to 8 feet wide. So I've spaced these, I don't know, I think they're roughly 8 feet apart. So they might in the end just barely touch. So they'll still kind of look like individuals out here. But I wanted them grouped together to bring some really nice winter impact. And then you'll notice I put a shovel in the ground here and my bag of biotone over there because I decided I want some sort of small tree in those two spots, because I've got this kind of gap where I don't have anything tall, and the spruce will eventually get tall, but it's going to take it who knows how long. And then the North Pole arborvitae will grow 10 to 15 feet tall. So I'd like something with deciduous, something with a small canopy, maybe with some berry interest, like maybe a small crabapple, something like that in this space. And kind of the same thing over here. So right where that bag of biotone is, we've got kind of a large gap between our trees. Now this is a London plane tree. They will get massive in the end. And then we've got a European white bark birch, which I absolutely love right there. But I'd like something that stays a bit smaller than those two trees to fill in this space. So I kept trying to work out how I would want the dogwoods like in this space. And in the end, I decided that down there would be perfect. And now I know to keep my eyes open for some kind of perfect tree for that space and for this space. And then right in here, I'm thinking something more spring blooming. Maybe another lilac. I've got a lilac right here, but it'd be really pretty to have, you know, lilacs dotted throughout. I don't know, those are just some of my initial thoughts on this space. Now the fall color on these Sgt. Peppers, oh my gosh, it's like this beautiful burgundy with hot pink accents. They're so, so pretty along with their red stems. And I think that's going to be gorgeous because the locust tree is yellow, the London plane tree is yellow in the fall, and so is the white bark birch. So to have some red out here in the fall will be great too. I think it's just going to be the perfect addition. So now we just have to dig some holes and get them planted. And these are the only ones I want to plant today before heading over to the Hellebore patch and getting those cut back. All right, there they are. 1, 2, 3. Cannot wait to see what they look like when they leaf out in this area. We've also got a Desert Plains Pennisetum right here and here that don't get quite as tall as these dogwoods. So you'll be able to see that grass a little bit more from the other side than you will from this side. However, for a little while, you'll be able to see it from in between the plants. It's almost time to dig this grass up and divide it. I wonder what the center is like. Oh, it's still holding pretty fast. Usually these big grasses, eventually you'll have a ring of grass around the outside and the middle will die out. And that's a telltale sign that it's time to divide the grass. We're getting pretty darn close with this one. Later today, I will come along and water these 3 along with all the other ones that we transplanted the other day. That's just a super important thing. Even though the soil that we just dug is wet and the root balls were wet, we just want to settle it all into place. And we want to make sure that before our irrigation system is turned on that we keep them front of mind and make sure to keep them moist. Okay, last thing for today are the hellebores. It's quite a large patch. It'll take us a bit. All right, here we are. All of the hellebores. Some of them don't look too bad. I mean, they're technically an evergreen perennial, but in northern climates or, you know, toward the lower end of their zone range, they tend to look a little scruffy in the spring. So we like to come in and cut off, like this is last year's growth right here, these leaves, but you can see all this fresh growth with all the buds. And we want to leave all of that. So it's a pretty easy thing to do because we just kind of go along the outside of the plant and shear off all the old stuff. And some of them are incredibly easy. Like this one right here, the new growth is still, like, hasn't even hardly emerged. So we'll be able to cut that off without worrying too much. But there are, like this one has a whole bunch of buds underneath. Look at that. They're absolutely gorgeous. Or we hope they will be when we're done cleaning them up. So I'm just gonna go along and get this done. We'll probably do a light raking of the area. There are some spots that are still a little frozen. I mean, you can even see right outside the bed. This area receives shade from our house. So there's still a little bit of ice and even a little bit of snow right here. So this ground in here is pretty solid. So I don't know how much cleaning, you know, how leaves kind of want to stick to the ground when they're frozen down. But we'll do our best. We'll go ahead and shear back the hydrangeas right here. These are the Invincible Ruby, and just kind of do a little bit of a cleanup. I also just got a text message from a friend who watched the video where we recently dug up that big patch of lamium that used to be right behind us, and we planted it under the golden rain tree. And it didn't quite spread as far as I wanted it to because I want that whole flower bed to be decked out with lamium. And she texted and said, you know, you gave me lamium a couple of years ago and it has done really well and it's kind of spread itself around, and I was thinking of digging some out just to kind of contain it. Would you like to have some of your lamium back for that flower bed? I said, sure. So I think she's going to be here in about an hour with some lamium that we can go ahead and plant back in our garden. I think that is so fun. Anyway, let's get after this job. I did bring some flower tone along with me so that we could fertilize around the plants when we're done. I'm going to grab my rake. Let's just get going. Got it done, and it looks so much better. My goodness. So got them all cut back, got them fertilized, did a little bit of raking. Now we still need to come in and rake the rest of this flower bed. It's kind of a two-sided flower bed. So we always approach it like right about where the lilac and the viburnum are. It's kind of halfway, and so we always drag everything from there this way out you know, into piles here, and then on the other side we drag it the other way. That way we don't have to take all of that debris through all of these plants, because it can be a little bit difficult. But they are looking so good. I mean, we unearthed some beautiful plants. They're just loaded with buds. Pretty much all of them. Now, a lot of our hellebores have seeded themselves around. So like these right in here, those seeded themselves. Same with that one. A bunch in here have. So I don't even know what those are going to look like when they bloom. I think that's going to be really fun. I ended up using Holly-tone instead of flower tone in this area because my bag of flower tone was in the back of the gator, and Aaron came out and ran the gator around to dump out all my debris like midway through this project. And I think he dumped the bag out into the pile, so I'll have to go fish that out in a little bit. But Holly-tone works great, which I use that for hydrangeas, either that or rose tone, and you can use it on whatever else too. Beth also came right in the middle of this project, and we unloaded all the lamium, and you guys, we have pretty much enough to fill up the rest of that flower bed. Let me show you. Look at this. Can you see all of those right there? 18 clumps, many of which we could probably break up into smaller clumps. But the only space that we have left is just this little space right behind the tree and just this little space right here. I couldn't even believe it when she opened up her trunk. I was just stunned. And this variety, it blooms purple just like the other variety that we have, but this one has a much more silver variegation on the leaf, like they're almost white. So here's my plan. I'm just gonna plant all of these where they sit. And as this variety roots in and this variety roots in, I'm just gonna dig out little bits and start interspersing. So we've got kind of a nice mix of both varieties in here. But mine only stretched from right there, just in front of the tree, and then we ended right here. So this is amazing. And I just think it's so fun that it made it start in this garden and now it's back in this garden. Love it. So let's just get all of the holes dug. I'm gonna use some biotone in the holes and we'll get them all in the ground and watered in. All done and watered in. Oh, I'm so looking forward to seeing what this bed does this year. I think this is going to be so much better than what I've tried to force this area to do for years. I think the lamium's just going to be perfect. And the plants were essentially free, which makes it even better, especially when it's still an experiment. Even though I think it's going to do really well, time will tell. And you guys, that is going to do it for our projects today. I feel like we were really productive today. We got a lot of things done. Seeds started. Wanted to update you on a few things. Plants cut back, plants in the ground. Oh, it's such a great day. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you are enjoying weather like this as well. And we will see you in the next one. Bye.